First tonight on Our News Live at 7, residents react to the impending expiration of an expanded price control list. Also, the latest from investigators who are now probing an early morning fatality that claimed the life of a man believed to be in his 30s.
We have had the highest rate of rape per capita in the world for 15 years consecutively.
And then in Our News at 7:30, are you storm ready? More residents' reaction as homeowners weigh in on finding affordable home insurance ahead of this year's Atlantic hurricane season. Our News Live at 7 starts right now. Welcome to Our News Live at 7. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Megan Shepard. Investigators are tonight looking into an early morning traffic accident that has claimed the life of a man believed to be in his early to mid-30s. Officers of the Traffic Division, EMS, and the Fire Department responded to the scene on Cowpen Road shortly after 4 o'clock this morning. We'll get to all of the details of that traffic fatality in a moment, but we begin with more news on inflation. As the expanded price control list put in place by the government last fall has expired, Minister for Economic Affairs Michael Halkitis telling Our News earlier this week the expiration comes as inflation in the United States has moderated. Government expects to see some trickle-down effects on the local economy, but consumers are reacting to the news tonight, with this resident telling Our News she's not so sure about the logic.
The salaries or the income of the average person has not increased. And so the average working people, the retirees, and even the low-income strata of people, it hasn't helped them.
Meantime, this Department of Social Services worker says she's concerned about getting continued value from food stipends and hopes the measure will work out for clients. And while the number of residents seeking assistance fluctuates, she says the numbers tend to jump in the summer months as students are home for the extended break.
I would think if the items are going up, then you'll probably have more persons coming in, because we have a number of Bahamians who have a number of children. I mean, some families as big as 8 and 9. So that means that their dollars would not stretch as far to be able to purchase the food items. During the summer months, we have persons who may not be regularly on our food assistance program who may come in for something to help to subsidize the items that they have at home.
To read more on this, you can head over to ournews.bs. And you can have your say on this as well. You can leave your comments under the story available now on the Our News Bahamas Facebook page. And coming up in Our News at 7:30, we've got more resident reactions heading into this year's storm season. Affordable home insurance is one of the hot button issues for many. Stay tuned for more on that. But now to that early morning traffic accident that has left a man believed to be in his early to mid-30s dead. Officer in charge of the Traffic Division, Chief Superintendent David Lockhart, says officers from the Traffic Division, along with EMS and the Fire Department, responded to the scene on Cowpen Road shortly after 4 o'clock this morning.
As a result of that crash, a blue Suzuki Swift that was traveling west on Cowpen Road for some unknown reason lost control and collided with a parked tow truck. The result of that is the passenger and the driver in the blue Suzuki Swift received serious injuries, and EMS confirmed that there were no signs of life. At this time, we are in our initial stage of our investigation. We are unable to say what is the cause or any contributing factor at this time.
While he could not confirm the identity of the male victim at the time, Chief Superintendent Lockhart is appealing to anyone that may have information on the identity of the victim to contact their nearest police station. Meantime, Lockhart urging residents to adhere to the rules of the road.
I don't know if the wet roads contributed to it. I don't know if the rain started prior or after. But like I said, we encourage persons to maintain the speed limit. If you maintain the posted speed limit, you should be able to avoid most all crashes if one is to occur.
Now, we spoke with Chief Superintendent Lockhart moments ago, who says police are still trying to identify the victim. Again, if you can help police with any information, you are asked to contact the Police Traffic Division. Meantime, Drug Enforcement Unit officers and officers from the K-9 unit of the Internal Security Division confiscating illegal drugs yesterday. Police say shortly after 11 a.m., the officers, acting on intelligence, went to an open lot on White's Lane off Mackey Street. The officers searched a bushy area with help from police canines who were able to sniff out the marijuana. No arrest was made. The drugs weighed 10.5 ounces and have an estimated street value of $650. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism, Aviation and Investments Chester Cooper says the work on improving the downtown area is progressing and shares potential changes to the way we may navigate our roads.
We are undertaking some beautification projects. We are looking at the old traffic studies at the moment that talked about diverting some traffic and making some streets pedestrian only. We are also attracting new investment to this area. So there are some investment projects in the pipeline by Bahamians to create new businesses in the area east of East Street.
The Deputy Prime Minister also confirming that some demolitions have already taken place, but says the protocol must be followed in cases where owners are making an effort to improve.
So far, I believe we've done about 6 of them. There are about 9 more on our radar. There is a process that must be undertaken. The owners must be given notice. And if and when they respond, their responses are carefully considered. So if you give notice to someone to demolish and they come back and say, no, wait a minute, I'm fixing this, I'm going to start soon, the appropriate thing to do would be to engage. So this is what we're doing.
It's time now for your first look at temperatures. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is standing by in the Weather Center. Happy Hump Day.
Yeah, happy Hump Day to you, Megan, and a happy belated birthday. Forgot to give you that birthday greeting yesterday. Yeah. 81 degrees outside the studios. It is warm. It's humid. Mostly cloudy skies. The winds are out of the north-northeast at 7 miles per hour. Your feels like temperature is at 79. Temperatures around the islands right now across in the northwest Bahamas, Grand Bahama, 78, 77 in Marsh Harbor. Warm across the rest of the Northwest Bahamas, 81s, Alistown, Bimini, Great Harbor Key here in the capital. We pick up a pair of 80s in Governor's Harbor as well as in Nicholstown. Down in the Central Bahamas, 81 in Kemps Bay as well as in Georgetown. 79 in Arthurstown, Cat Island, Coburn Townsend, Salvador, 78, 80 in Deadman's Key, Southeast Bahamas. Temperatures near the 80-degree mark, 81 in Dunkertown, Ragged Island, 79 Colonel Hill, Cricket Island, Delectable Bay, 80, 81 in Abrams Bay, Providenciales, 82. And deep south, Matthewtown, Inagua, you are 82 at this hour. Satellite view, well, we started off pretty nice, but we had a little bit of a weak disturbance. We still had a couple of those moving through. That triggered off some showers across the Florida area, and some of those showers and thunderstorms moved across the Northwest Bahamas. Cloudy skies mainly across that area. We will continue to see the showers and thunderstorms throughout the rest of the evening. There is one very strong thunderstorm that's approaching Grand Bahama. You guys could probably get that later on tonight, and we should see some more action tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Stick with us. A look at your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, on the path to recovery, a family in Great Harbor Key rebuilds after a devastating fire upends their lives. What the area MP is saying about the effort. Plus,
I'm Marlena Leonard, and coming up on Our News, it's not just men at work anymore. We're highlighting some of the new faces, including the women.
What the next generation of roadwork teams look like in our Work in Progress segment. And are you planning to study abroad for college? Don't miss a U.S. Embassy rep's quick guide on how to apply for a student visa and navigate the application process with ease. The story when Our News returns.
Original or hot and spicy?
It's your thing. Do what you want to do. It's your thing.
shareholders are very happy.
That's your thing. Do what you wanna do.
On April 6th, a family of 9 in Great Harbor Key was left homeless when a fire destroyed their residence. Member of Parliament for North Andros and the Berry Islands, Leonardo Lightbourne, says nearly a month after the blaze, the family has started to piece their lives back together.
The process is still going as we speak. I know the family is still with some family members. Social services are bringing some aid to that family. Also, I know some materials, stuff were given to the family in terms of the building, so they are now at the building stage for what was devastated during the fire.
Tonight in Work in Progress, we're talking about the next generation of roadwork teams. Our Marlena Leonard has the story on the future of the men and women at work.
We're all used to those men at work signs, but the real future of roadworks might include more women.
More women are signing on, because what happened is they normally see it was as a gentleman type thing, but striping is for anyone. If you're interested, come, I'll teach you.
Of course, it's not just women signing on. Garvin Kemp has worked in roadworks for the past 37 years, but says now that he's on his way out, they need new recruits.
We're trying to train a few because I'm on my way out, so this is one of my good co-workers as we're talking about it right now. We're trying to build a collective crew so we can stay together and do the work for the people. All we want is the support, and then we do all the work that's needed to be done.
Frederica Johnson says she's had an extremely welcoming experience from the men on the team.
I love my section where I work in, and I love my coworkers, and we have fun out here. We talk and we work together as a team. That's the most important thing, is being a team working together.
Gloria Bethel is assisting with traffic management for this project and has this advice for women who may be hesitant about signing on.
A lot of guys feel like, a lot of people feel like females shouldn't be doing it, but it's an easy thing, It's not heavy lifting or anything like that when you're doing traffic management. If you want to help with the machine, it's easy breezy.
Reporting for Work in Progress for Our News, I'm Marlena Leonard.
When Our News comes back from the break, we turn our spotlight to stories making headlines across the world as China pledges to send a peace envoy to Ukraine. Plus, over 200 illegal migrants intercepted by Turks and Caicos police. And later, are you a student preparing for college and need to apply for a visa? Don't worry, we've got you covered. Tune in for expert tips and guidance on the visa application process when Our News returns. This is Our News. Welcome back. We turn our attention now to stories making headlines across the world. Chinese leader Xi Jinping telling Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in a phone call on Wednesday his government will send a peace envoy to Ukraine and other nations. This after Beijing said it wants to act as a mediator in Russia's war with the country. A government statement reported by state TV gave no indication whether the Chinese envoy would visit Russia and made no mention of Russia or President Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine last year. The statement warned there is no winner in a nuclear war. China has tried to appear neutral in the war but has refused to criticize Moscow's invasion. The Biden administration says it is devising a strategy for the possible arrival of tens of thousands more migrants at the U.S.-Mexico border. This as Title 42, the broader COVID public health emergency, is scheduled to terminate on May 11th, undercutting the rationale for the restrictions known as Title 42. The administration says it is now scrambling to find potential holding centers, speed up deportations, and increase processing of refugees abroad. An accused MS-13 gang member has been arrested and charged in Holiday, Florida, in what the sheriff described as a demonic murder of an Uber Eats delivery driver. According to investigators, the driver's remains were found dismembered at the suspect's home last week. Investigators believe a 30-year-old Oscar Solis tried to rob the driver and ultimately killed him. They say Solis had recently moved to Florida after being released from an Indiana prison in January. And now to the region where, over in Haiti, residents in the city of Port-au-Prince lynched and set alight at least 10 suspected gang members on Monday, claiming police did not do enough to protect them. Armed with machetes, bottles, and rocks, residents fought back against encroaching gangs Tuesday in a gruesome outburst of vigilante violence. This story from Almond Lee contains graphic content.
There were tense scenes on the streets of Port-au-Prince in Haiti on Monday. People were fleeing the neighborhood after a night of violence, as, according to police, at least 10 suspected gang members had been lynched by locals. Graphic videos captured by Reuters showed several burnt bodies piled on the road, with smoking tires and other objects on top of them. Police said the group of armed bandits had been traveling in a vehicle, and they had intended to arrest them before they were attacked. The lynchings followed days of confrontations between gang members and security agents. This local resident says the gang members have invaded the area, and he called on the police to do more to protect them. Gang problems worsened in Haiti after the 2021 assassination of President Jovenel Moïse. Large parts of the capital and the countryside have become lawless. It is believed about 80% of Port-au-Prince metropolitan area is controlled by some 200 gangs. Routine gunfights and turf battles have left hundreds dead and thousands displaced. The Haitian government and the United Nations have called for an international force to help the local police in its fight against the mobsters.
Marine branch officers of the Royal Turks and Caicos Islands Police Force stopped 244 illegal Haitian migrants in a vessel heading toward the western shores of Providenciales around 4:30 this morning. According to reports, the officers intercepted a 45-foot wooden vessel powered by twin outboard engines. The vessel was carrying 49 females and 191 males, including 2 minors. The migrants have since been handed over to the Immigration Task Force for processing.
I, Natalia Wheatley, do solemnly and sincerely affirm that I will well and truly serve His Majesty King Charles III and the people of the Virgin Islands in the office of the Premier.
And finally, that was newly sworn-in Premier of the British Virgin Islands, Dr. Natalia Wheatley, who, along with the members of his administration, took their oaths of office last evening following Monday's general election. Wheatley's swearing in came after his Virgin Islands party made a deal with Lorna Smith, who broke ranks from the National Democratic Party to achieve the 7 seats needed in the House of Assembly to form a government. Smith will serve as the deputy premier. In his acceptance speech, Wheatley said he was humbled and honored to once again lead the territory.
This segment of the news is brought to you by H.G. Christie. List your home in Grand Bahama with H.G. Christie. Visit our new office in the Port Lacaya Marketplace. H.G. Christie, celebrating over 100 years of service.
Prospective students of U.S. colleges getting an opportunity to learn more about the F, J, and M student visas at the Pelican Bay Resort in Grand Bahama on Tuesday. Vice Counsel at the U.S. Embassy in Nassau, Lance Peterson, explaining the steps as to how to apply for a student visa once accepted into a U.S. college.
You're now allowed to apply for your student visa 365 days in advance to your program start date, which is a great change. It used to be 120 days. So that gives students more time to get ahead of the game. So one mistake would be waiting until the very last minute to apply for your visa, because we don't want anybody to miss their program. But also understanding the dates, that even though they can apply 365 days in the future of the program start date, that doesn't change the rule that they can only enter the United States 30 days before their program, and then making sure that they remain in status during the program, and that they return, that they leave the United States 60 days after the end of the program. We don't want anybody overstaying or going out of status.
These facilitators and parents say the session was beneficial.
The questions that were asked was one that I thought was important for us to know and to hear, because people go into those interviews very clueless. We deal with the students also with sports, and when sometimes we're being told that there are certain things that they shouldn't say or should say.
And I thought this was very informative, and I think they should continue this program and constantly coming back to Grand Bahama, especially where we are, what we say, left in the dark sometimes.
Yes, I have a daughter graduating high school in June, and so we're working through the process now, so all of this makes it much easier and more calming.
Still to come in our news today in history, find out interesting facts about the day that was April 26, including a controversial 2012 political billboard. Through the power of their voices, a group of women sheds light on the critical issues of violence and discrimination against women in a compelling new documentary. Learn more about their impactful story when our news continues. And speaking of gender discrimination, coming up in our news at 7:30, parliamentarians debate a human rights resolution for a House Select Committee. The story when our news returns. Welcome back. It's now time to turn our spotlight on events that shaped the day that was April 26. Let's take a look. On this day in Bahamian history, as far back as 1891, Reverend Robert Dunlop of St. Andrew's Presbyterian Kirk in Nassau died. His memorial in the kirk reads that he fell ill while conducting services Sunday morning and later died that evening. Fast forward to 2012, when at the height of election campaigning arose a controversy over political billboards by the Progressive Liberal Party. The party cried foul after numerous PLP billboards were ripped down and thrown away. The billboard, which became most controversial, read, "Under the F&M, 490-plus murders." Some decried the move to display such messages in tourist areas, with one visitor saying at the time it was a scary first impression.
I thought y'all had 490 murders this year, and that kind of concerned me a little bit, but because we have a lot of murders in big cities in Charlotte, around Charlotte. And so, I thought, man, that's a lot of murders. It would determine, whether you came back, if it's a crime-ridden area, you don't want to come back.
It's the worst message we can give visitors who are coming to the Bahamas, to be trumpeting things that are very negative about the country. We got a number of complaints because one first appeared in the roundabout by Coral Harbor. We asked if it could possibly be removed. It wasn't moved, and then we found that they started popping up in other places. It's a very strange position to be in, where people seem to want to kill the very thing they want to lead. They want to lead the country. Why would you go out and trash it in such a way? I mean, there are certain things where there is no, just to paraphrase somebody, there's no green Bahamas or red Bahamas or yellow Bahamas. There's a Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Then on this day in 2017, Lou Adams died at the age of 94. Adams was a legendary figure whose contributions to Bahamian music and cultural development are indelible. In a statement on his passing, then Progressive Liberal Party Chairman Bradley Roberts said, "With his death comes the end of an era in Bahamian music and cultural development." He continued saying, "Adams will be sorely missed as his body of work lives on in the hearts and minds of many devoted fans for generations to come." And finally, on this day in 2019, a groundbreaking ceremony was held on New Providence at the Clifton Heritage National Park for the creation of a Lucayan village. A Lucayan village billboard was also unveiled. The ceremony marked the first in a series of events intended to revitalize the heritage, history, and culture of Lucayan, European, and African ancestors. The whispered words of violence against women and children are now blood-curdling screams in the night. The once quiet stream of hushed abuse has now turned into a volcano of exposure, allegedly even for the high and not so mighty. It's the first paragraph from this week's As I See It opinion piece by our news columnist Tanya Smith Cartwright. She writes that it takes a coward, a man with less testicular fortitude, to lay hands on a woman or a child. She points out a spate of violent acts against women in New Providence, some even resulting in murder, and criticized Parliament for being slow on passing legislation that provides further protection for women and children. It's quite an interesting read, which you can find right at ournews.bs. Just click the opinion tab to find this and other columns published every Monday right at ournews.bs. And amid continued calls for the protection of women and girls in the country, tonight a group of women are using their voices to bring awareness to issues of violence and discrimination against women. Jamila Mizik reports.
It is the brainchild of director, co-producer, and writer Gina Rogers-Seeley. The two-faced gender inequality in the Bahamas documentary was created by a group of women from different walks of life with a shared passion. Rogers-Seeley says the documentary seeks to tackle a number of issues.
So we deal with the Constitution as it relates to discrimination against women. We also deal with the lack of female representation in Parliament. We talk about gender wage bias. We talk about marital rape. And then also in the documentary, we have a few case studies, if you will, a few women who tell their personal stories
And it is those personal stories that co-producer Marian Bethel says will hopefully influence those who see it to end violence and discrimination against women.
The women who have survived the most savage and brutal of gender-based violence share with us their experience, and it is really it's shocking and moving and really painful to be there in this space with them and understand what we as women live through in our daily lives. And so I think the intervention is very important. I think people will really feel what we've been talking about for so many years. People can really feel it and see it through this documentary, and I think it will have an enormous impact.
Now the documentary premieres tonight at Fusion Superplex, and Roger Seeley says she's hoping that the timely project will be a catalyst to get more people involved.
What I'm really hoping for is that it opens a lot of the eyes of women and men as to what is really going on, because it's almost like when you hear about something so much, you build up a callus, or it just rolls like, oh, it's another murder, oh, it's another rape, and we can't do that.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jamila Missick.
Thanks, Jamila. To learn more on that story and for all of today's top stories, visit ournews.bs. That does it for Our News at 7. Joining us now is our Italia Hall with the latest headlines. Italia?
Yes, Megan. Well, why residents are asking government to meet us where we are over homeowners insurance, and the central bank governor tight-lipped on the bank's headquarters relocation. Here are your latest headlines. Meet us where we are first tonight on Our News Live at 7:30.
Thank God I don't have to pay mortgage and car payments and stuff like that, but still, you still have, I live off pension, so pension is once a month.
Residents are weighing in on the issue of home insurance and Speak Up. The tourism minister encouraging Bahamians to share their concerns over the potential environmental impact of the RCI Beach project. Also, why the central bank's relocation project has been terminated. We put the question to the central bank governor. And later, it's immunization week. Find out the Ministry of Health and Wellness campaign that's urging you to stay up to date on your immunizations. Our News Live at 7:30 starts in a moment.
Whether you're battling a chronic condition or offsetting a new injury, Doctors Hospital's comprehensive rehab services offer the help you need now.
Go to doctors.
3 advanced facilities at Collins Avenue, Carmichael Road, and Cable Beach means your personalized plan for care is just a visit away. From physiotherapy to occupational therapy and speech and language pathology, our team approach is all about rebuilding together. For a full list of services, visit doctorshosp.com/rehabilitation. Doctors Hospital, trusted and best care now. Isn't your health worth it?
Welcome to Our News and thank you for joining us. I'm Italia Hall. Member of Parliament for North Andros and the Berry Islands, Leonardo Lightborn, telling reporters outside the House of Assembly that government should find ways to assist Bahamians in attaining affordable home insurance. Well, Our News took to the streets to find out how residents feel about the issue. This resident says government meeting people where they are financially is the first step in encouraging homeowners to be insured.
You know what? Let's try to put 200 out of your 800 a week towards your insurance. Something like that, you know, we could look into. I know the cost is the cost, but if we can ensure that persons are being assisted where they're at, that could help a whole lot with the whole situation.
With residents dealing with high costs of living every day, living has become difficult. Some, like this resident says, is simply a headache to pay for home insurance.
It's just ridiculous. How are we supposed to survive? You got utilities, you got school fees, you have mortgages, whatever else. They gotta, just 10% ain't really doing it in a way if you gotta be paying all these high prices. And then what people have to pay for rent, they need to work on trying to get some low-cost houses built. 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom, spacious enough. So if you could pay rent, you could pay mortgage.
All right, well, prosecutors filing charges against 3 people accused of separate incidents of vehicular manslaughter. 31-year-old Quinton Johnson and 24-year-old Ashanti Johnson faced charges in connection with traffic fatalities that took place within hours of each other on the Queens Highway in Eleuthera last December. Meanwhile, 51-year-old Michael Fox is being held responsible for the death of a woman on East Street on January 20th, 2023. Prosecutors say Quinton Johnson was overtaking another vehicle on Queens Highway on December 11, 2022, when Jamal McNair fell off the back of the truck and died on impact. The incident happened around 11:50 a.m. Hours earlier, around 3 a.m., Ashanti Johnson, who allegedly did not have a valid driver's license of third-party insurance, crashed into a wall and a tree, causing the death of her passenger, Kendrick Moss. Now, Fox is accused of causing the death of Opal Campbell Hamilton at East Street when he collided with another car around 4:45 a.m. on January 20th, 2023. He's also accused of failing to have his vehicle insured against third-party risks. The accused were not required to enter pleas to the charges when they appeared before Senior Magistrate Carl Turnquest DeVoe. They were all granted $9,000 bail and will return to court on August 23rd to receive voluntary bill of indictment papers. Police in New Providence need your help finding the suspects responsible for 2 armed robberies that occurred on Tuesday. In the first incident, shortly before 8 p.m., a 21-year-old man along with his girlfriend were parked on Isabella Street in Nassau Village to carry out a Facebook sale. The man was approached by another man dressed in a long-sleeve shirt and mask who pulled out a gun. The suspect robbed the victim of 2 phones valued at $2,700. Those were iPhones, rather, and an amount of cash. The suspect ran from the scene. In the second incident, police say around 10 p.m., a 51-year-old man was at a business on Cowpen Road when he was approached by a man in a burgundy Nissan Cube. The suspect exited the vehicle with a gun and demanded cash. Now, after robbing the victim, the suspect returned to his vehicle and sped off in an unknown direction. Now, investigations are continuing. Parliamentarians debating the Human Rights Resolution for the Select Committee in the House of Assembly today. Golden Gates MP Pia Glover contributing to the debate, saying she believes the committee will be a driving force to assist with achieving the objectives of speed and comprehensiveness when it comes to human rights issues.
In the case of urgent matters or issues like marital rape, there's no need to wait until we figure every last aspect of every sub-issue out to begin taking action to protect women. Some actions must be taken in stages. We can take the first critical steps and figure out the other policies along the way. When an issue is urgent enough, that is often necessary. So there's not only a need to be quick and comprehensive, there's a need to be decisive and practical.
On Monday, Royal Caribbean International released an outline of their environmental plans for their Royal Beach Club on Paradise Island. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism Chester Cooper says while he's not seen the release for himself, he trusts the process.
I have not had a chance to look at the environmental plans yet of RCI. Suffice to say, they are following the same protocols, which are the standard protocols of the Department of Environmental Planning and Protection. These are the same protocols that Atlantis would have had to abide by when they constructed on Bahama. I am confident that these protocols and laws and the professionalism and expertise of DEP will continue to prevail.
Cooper acknowledges there are concerns about the environmental impact and encourages people to come forward and speak up. He says, however, they share those concerns with the relevant parties and the Department of Environmental Planning and Protection.
If we have any concerns we ought to express those concerns. Notwithstanding their expertise, they might miss something. But what we want to do is to ensure that the public is heard. And therefore, DAP, through their public consultation, is always interested in legitimate feedback. So if there's an environmental concern, it will be heard, it will be addressed. If there's a suggestion from anybody in the public, DEP will consider those adjustments and will ensure that they are addressed in the best interests of the Bahamian people.
All right, well, we are just getting started in our news at 7:30, but if you want to see any of those stories aired already this evening, you can head on over to ournews.bs or at Our News Bahamas on Facebook. Well, cloudy skies on this Wednesday outside the Our News studios, but what kind of weather can we expect tomorrow as the weekend approaches? Meteorologist Greg Thompson is live in the Weather Center with a first look at weather. Greg?
Yeah, thanks, Natalia. Welcome back, everybody. We are expecting a couple more isolated showers. There's still some moisture around and a little dimple in the upper atmosphere that's helping to trigger these showers. Most of it across Florida, but outside our studios right now, we are at 79 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Most of that is high clouds right now. Northeast winds at 6 miles per hour, and your field strike temperature is at 79. As I mentioned, cloudy conditions across most of the Bahamas. Those upper level dimples moving across Florida, triggering some showers, and most of those showers are moving towards our area. We see one or two more approaching the Grand Bahama area. There is another one in the Gulf of Mexico that should get in here sometime tomorrow. Could see some more showers in the forecast as well. That's a quick check on weather conditions around the island. Stick with us to look at the extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on Our News, questions linger as to why the central bank's relocation project was canceled. Our News pressed the bank's governor for answers, but the response remains elusive. Plus, are your immunization records up to date? While the Ministry of Health and Wellness is advising residents to get current with their vaccines, as this week is Immunization Week. And later, a pivotal moment in Bahamian history, this as the nation's leaders reflecting on Black Tuesday. That's all coming up when Our News returns.
The central bank recently announcing its project to construct a new headquarters building downtown has been terminated. Well, Our News caught up with the governor of Central Bank, John Rowland Grand Bahama, today during a meeting held there with the business community. It's been asked what exactly happened to the project and why was it terminated. Here was the governor's response to that question.
And we're going to discuss it on a different date, Italia.
Economic Affairs Minister Michael Halkid is telling Our News on Tuesday that from his understanding, the project has been postponed, not canceled. Now, Rowell says they do have long-term needs for accommodations and that effort is ongoing. And the governor also had this to say.
The government itself has expressed other preferences for the use of the land as well. So I expect that information will come out in due course.
As for whether or not there were any losses associated with the project,
I would not say that there are losses, but there are some costs to ventures like this. And
while the governor could not provide more information on a new headquarters at this time, he says they will construct a cash center in the southwestern part of New Providence sometime this year.
The objective there is to remove from the downtown area all of the security and other challenges around handling cash shipments in the middle of the city on a narrow street. So that part of the project and development, which is very important for the central bank, that is moving ahead, and so we are concentrating on that for the moment. But I could assure you that there are many options available, but we're going to pace ourselves.
All right, well, a group of government entities hitting the streets to tackle the issue of immunization and low vaccination rates among residents. Well, our Joshua Williams was there and has this story.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness continuing its Immunization Week walkabout in the inner cities of New Providence. Coconut Grove was the location for today's walkabout as members and supporters went into homes to check the immunization status of residents, especially children. National Immunization Coordinator Gina Rose says they found situations where records have not been kept up to date.
So far, for the cards that we would have seen, the majority of the children would have been vaccinated already, but we did come across some residents who did not have records to show us, and so we were unable to determine there and then what was missing for them. But what we will do as a follow-up is go through, we would have taken their names, date of birth, mother's name, and we will go through their clinic records and what we have on our digital platform to see if they're actually up to date, and then follow up with them thereafter.
With the COVID-19 pandemic came vaccinations, and with those vaccinations came the misinformation. Rose says it's important for the public to trust the experts.
Get your information from trusted sources, right? Everybody obviously will have different experiences depending on the kind of shot that you take.
The effort, a collaboration between Urban Renewal, Ministry of Education, and Neighborhood Policing. Rose says the walkabout also serves as an opportunity to assist residents in areas other than health.
The health of the nation really is multi-sectorial. You're depending on a number of different persons to make sure that everyone is well. And so Urban Renewal is there in case there are any social needs that have to be met. And there were persons who we would have met who were unemployed, persons that might need assistance with food and shelter, and that is something that they would work on. The education officers would have been there talking about the children and their importance in being in school and a safe environment for them. And so in order to keep our country well, then all of us have to be a part of that.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Joshua Williams.
All right, thanks, Josh. Well, tomorrow marks the 58th commemoration of Black Tuesday, a pivotal moment in Bahamian history. Prime Minister Philip Davis recalling the event as one that continues to inspire him during challenging times and adversity.
58 years ago, on the 27th of April 1965, when the late Sir Lyndon Pindling, then the leader of the opposition and later Prime Minister, demonstrated extraordinary courage by throwing the Speaker's mace out of the House of Assembly, east window, right over there. This act of defiance in protest of the gerrymandering, gerrymandering of electoral boundaries by the then governing United Bahamian Party, became a symbol of our people's unwavering determination to fight for fairness and equal representation.
His comments came as parliamentarians debated the Human Rights Resolution for Select Committee in the House of Assembly today.
I was inspired by the stories of Sir Lyndon Pindling, Sir Milo Butler Sr. and others who risked their lives, livelihoods, and reputations to ensure that future generations will inherit a more just and equal society. Yes. Their courage, their dedication to the cause of democracy have left an indelible mark on my own life, shaping my values and guiding my actions as a public servant.
Stay ahead of the game with our extended weather forecast as meteorologist Greg Thompson is back in the Weather Center with the latest look at conditions.
Find out who won the Prime Minister's Cup at the National Regatta, and Klay Thompson and the Warriors tied their series with the Kings. Stay right there. Our Sports is next.
Today's sports update is sponsored by Corona, distributed in the Bahamas by Jimmy's Wines and Spirits.
This is our news. Welcome back. The Bahamas beach volleyball team plays their first international competition of the year, and DeAndre Ayton and the Suns are on to the second round. Tej Adderley is here with a check on sports. Tej?
Hello, Atalia. Good evening and welcome to Our Sports. The National Beach Volleyball team recently played in their first tournament of the 2023 North Seeker Tour. Let's take a look at how they did. The National Beach Volleyball team, made up of John Isaacs and Eugene Stewart, has begun the 2023 North Central America and Caribbean Volleyball Confederation, or we'll just call it North Seeker, season. The first stop on the tour was Aguascalientes, Mexico, where the team participated in the same pool as Guatemala and the home country, Mexico. The team lost a couple of tough matches to their poolmates, coming in 16th overall in the tournament with 112 points. We'll be sure to update you as they continue on their tour. DeAndre Ayton of the Phoenix Suns dominated the paint last night, helping his team to bounce the Los Angeles Clippers from the playoffs 136-130. Here's what the big man did. Former #1 overall draft pick DeAndre Ayton and his Phoenix Suns beat the LA Clippers last night 136-130, eliminating the Clippers and surviving and advancing to the second round of the NBA playoffs. Ayton got his fourth double-double of the series with 21 points and 11 rebounds. He set the tone early, dominating the painted area, scoring 18 points in the first half. Devin Booker went off to the tune of 47 points, 8 rebounds, and 10 assists, while Kevin Durant had 31 points and 6 rebounds. Norman Powell led the Clippers in scoring with 27 points, while Mason Plumlee added 20 off the bench. The Suns are all set to play the Denver Nuggets in the second round. Ayton will have his hands full with two-time NBA MVP Nikola Jokic. We look forward to that fun matchup. And that was your look at sports. I'm Tej Adderley. Back to you, Italia.
You may be hoping for some sunny conditions as we begin to approach the weekend. Meteorologist Greg Thompson has your extended weather forecast right after this quick break. Stay with us.
Enter to win a chance to join us at Corona Island for the ultimate immersive travel experience by purchasing a 6-pack of Corona from now until May 7th at any Jimmy's Wines and Spirits locations or participating stores. Visit livecoronaisland.com to learn more.
Chances came to our rescue in providing a check of $5,000 towards helping us purchase these shoes for the children. They were so excited to get their Clark shoes. The first day.
Welcome back to our news. Some off and on rain around the islands today, but what can we expect for the rest of the week? Meteorologist Greg Thompson is back in the Weather Center live with your extended weather forecast. Greg?
Yeah, we had a couple of upper-level disturbances moving across our area for the last couple of days, and one moved across central Florida that triggered some showers and thunderstorms affecting the northwest Bahamas as well as some cloudy conditions. There's another one in the Gulf of Mexico. We expect that to pass over Florida late tonight and into early parts of tomorrow, so we could see 1 or 2 more showers across the area. But there's a big trough or big low pressure system out in the central portions of the United States that's expected to get near by the weekend, and that will usher in another change in our atmosphere with some more showers in the forecast starting early next week. Putting our future forecast map into motion, showers and thunderstorms out there, patchy showers across Florida, and those showers did blow up some strong thunderstorms actually. They moved out quickly. That's tomorrow evening, and then by Friday we expect that upper level system to move into our area with some more showers in the forecast for the weekend. Boating forecast for all areas tonight to tomorrow. Your winds will be out of the east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots. They will fall light and gravel at times. Seas running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. Your low tide is at 7:21 tonight. Here is a look now at your national forecast. In your extended forecast, some isolated showers in the forecast tomorrow. Friday and Saturday looks pretty nice, and then by Sunday, early portions of next week, that frontal boundary we expect to get near some more showers in the forecast early, but by Tuesday we expect those showers to wane off and temperatures will get rather warm for the weekend. Very hot, so make sure you prepare accordingly. Back to you, Tyler.
All right, Greg, sounds great. And with that, we thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Natalia Hall. We'll see you tomorrow night. Have a great evening.